Welcome to the Reboot Chronicles, connecting you to the world's top leaders and CEOs rebooting their organizations and themselves with revealing stories to help you prosper in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean DeBias, and as a serial CEO who's led dozens of companies that created thousands of jobs and billions in revenue, my passion is uncovering powerful lessons that can inspire you to reboot your organization, your career, and your life. Listen and subscribe wherever you get podcasts or at rebootchronicles.com. I'd like to welcome the CIO of IFFCO Jaroslaw Pietraszko to the Reboot Chronicles. Headquartered in the UAE, IFFCO owns dozens of the world's top consumer brands and a portfolio of leading industry solution and services companies around the globe. With 95 operations in 50 countries, IFFCO is the most diversified multinational group in the Middle East, employing 15,000 people that represent 85 nationalities who manage a portfolio of 80 brands in over 100 markets that generate billions in revenue. Yara, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
That was a mouthful of an introduction. You guys are huge. And it's not that old of a company. It's, most companies in the Mideast and India, they're like 100 years old. You guys were started in the 70s, I think.
In fact, the roots are starting in 1865 in India.
Ah, okay.
But in UAE, we started really in 1975. However, it's the one thing which probably differentiates us from the other big groups in the Middle East specifically is that very often they try to do completely different businesses. Now, the IFFCO main focus is really on the food manufacturing.
A lot of food brands, very
food
popular
brands,
ones, yep.
Yes. And the only another divisions we are talking is packaging and the transportation, just to make sure that we can self-sustain from the perspective of whatever is required for our primary activities.
Kind of like vertical integration kind of stuff. And you've got beauty and all
we have
kinds
a
of
bit of
stuff.
beauty, yes.
Agribusiness.
Agribusiness, including chicken, eggs. Basically, we have like what we used to call a basket offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basket, yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many brands that people sometimes do not even realize that they are buying from IFFCO.
Now, you don't strike me as someone who comes from the UAE. I mean, the way I pronounced your name was Polish. I think I didn't butcher it too bad. But how long have you been in Dubai?
So I've been there for 9 years. Now,
what was that like? I often call it the learning curve is a polite way, but that was, that's quite a culture shock.
So I will tell you, first of all, I before IFFCO, I worked for one of the American, very well-known and very reputed company. And it was very successful, let's say, story.
You were happy?
Yeah, I was happy.
Yeah.
I was also responsible partially for the Middle East region. So I used to travel there before. I used to have a pretty extensive experience with the Oracle and the SAP implementations. And I think this is what the IFFCO was looking for the combination of these two skill sets and someone who is willing to move to UAE. Probably I got the call at the right time and I just took a decision pretty quickly. And that was this kind of, let's say, reboot which completely changed the place I live, my work, my life, everything.
Wow.
And honestly speaking, I do not regret, in spite of, I really missing the friends from the American company, and I really enjoy working because this is one of the most admired company, I think 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yes.
The people used to join them after the university and stay till the retirement. I was one of this who decided to leave. I even did a bit of a step back from my career perspective, but when you have this kind of energy and flexibility, the Middle East is really the region to go.
So when you stepped into this role, this is one of the most diversified companies, at least in the Middle East. How do you manage all that? I mean, you get all types of, from a technologist point of view. It's like usually you're used to helping grow one type of company that's in one industry. You're probably in 10 industries. What's that like?
So there are two aspects which we have to take into consideration. First of all, some of the companies, they came to the region pretty late. Okay, so, and I'm talking with the big players from the IT industry.
Right.
So what has happened that many companies decided to suddenly start shifting, for example, to the different solutions because they were outdated, let's say, from perspective of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That's one aspect. The second aspect is a bit of, I would not say cultural shock for me because I used to travel pretty often to the Middle East before I joined IFFCO. But the different way of working and the fact that we're talking with many nationalities, we're talking about the 85% of population of Dubai who are expats, the people are changing. The attrition rate is pretty high, and this is what we have to take in consideration with our planning whenever we want to execute anything, to not land in the situation that the requester and the user at the end of the day, we are talking about a completely different company.
Before we jump into the business stuff, I've been approached to move to Dubai over the years, and it's never been the right time for me, or I was afraid. I don't know what the reason was, but it just, the stars didn't align. They aligned for you. For people that are considering jobs, let's just say in the Middle East, what's your advice to them?
Okay.
Besides don't do it,
No. Honestly speaking, I do not regret this decision of moving there. There are a few aspects we need to remember. The safety in this country is unbelievable. I'm talking about the safety from our perspective, walking on the streets and going even to the most weird places in Middle East. I've never felt any threat
pretty
or
locked down there.
any fear. And also for my son growing, in fact that he was able to interact with so many nationalities, he is not building any stereotypes in his head. For them, everyone is equal, and that really helps a lot. And we as a human being, we have a tendency to building the stereotypes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So keep an open mind, sounds like. Keep
an open mind, and it's a very dynamic environment. So if you expect that you will go there and you will work 9 to 5, that is not the case.
Forget it. So when you look at the business, how do you approach growth and innovation around technology, especially AI? We're here at the Zoho conference today. A lot of talk about AI, and how do you kind of look at the innovation stack for your companies? How do you help them grow and
Okay, so there are a few things. First of all, obviously, what we do right now is trying to achieve a single source of truth. We are still in the consolidation of the ERPs for the whole IFFCO group. That unfortunately is...
That sounds painful.
It is, and for some of the demands for the business, we need to hold them until we replace the system, because otherwise we will be doing that twice.
Right.
That's one aspect. But if we are talking about the AI, which is obviously everyone uses AI as a...
Things that the company might be using to deploy AI, either in the field or with customers, or
I would say
either behind the scenes or in front, either one.
Yeah, but in fact, I consider the AI, for example, from 4 different angles. The one is how the AI can support a regular, typical user on a daily basis to even pull the data, to respond to some queries, or even match the information from the multiple sources and give the summary, which is probably not very difficult from the implementation. It's just a matter of training the people and keeping them updated with this technology.
Right.
The second piece regarding AI, where I see the opportunity, is a smart automation of the processes. Because currently before we used to have a RPA only, but obviously whenever, the RPA would find something which is not programmed, it's stuck. The AI could help on this.
Right.
The third thing which we are using right now is generation of the marketing content. That is something which really shorten the time between the idea until something is published as a new ad or something like that.
Yeah, I just wrote a Forbes article about that. A lot of companies are doing that.
Are
you having success with that one? Because some people are a little... it's a little clumsy sometimes when it's written.
Obviously you cannot do that blindly, that you will generate and you're posting that. You need to look at that. But for example, we were able to achieve that even our logos on those products, they come with the really shape of the bottle, for example, and the logo is exactly like on the real bottle. That helps. Yeah. And for example, whenever we do the campaign for the Ramadan, you are saying, okay, I would like to have a Muslim family sitting together eating, for example, the IFFCO products, and we are getting a very nice pictures and multiple different versions.
Yeah, and you're in 100 markets. That helps a lot.
Absolutely. Oof. Dealing with the agency each and every time when you want to present, for example, it takes a lot of time, money, it's costly.
Yep.
Well, we should go for it. And so the fourth pillar I would consider is solving the real business problems.
Yes.
This is where, for example, we are right now in some pilot stage of bringing the promotion management AI models to understand what is the efficiency level beyond which we should not spend any money more on the promotion of this particular category, and we could shift that to other category. Because traditional model is you agree about the budget, marketing budget for the category, and you just spend it during the year. This is how you are measured. You have some scope to achieve, you have some cost you should not cross, that's all. But how we can really act dynamically during the year and take a call from this. And we need to take into consideration multiple aspects like the festivals, different festivals. You know, UAE is very multicultural, and all these religions are living together. So we are taking Ramadan in consideration, we are taking Diwali into consideration, we are taking Christmas into consideration, and there are different customer behaviors in all those, let's say, festivals. So this is where I still believe we can do more. We will definitely focus on that. And whenever we are talking about the AI, in most of the cases, when we are talking about the analytics specifically, we used to look what happened in the past, or what is the situation, maybe just draw the trend. But how use the power of the AI and that we know what shall we focus on, that's probably something where we will be heading to.
Yeah, we used to call it, descriptive versus prescriptive, versus actually acting. Now it's, Gen AI versus agentic. And in the consumers, there's a lot of that going on in B2B. Your core business, you're a consumer brand. I mean, you've got a lot of B2B businesses, but I'm just curious, what's your culture like of a multinational company like yours? Does it have a central business leadership culture?
Yes, it is centralized. But I'll tell you one thing. I remember when I joined in 2016. I was probably one of the 5 Western expats in the company.
Yeah, and you were an outsider too.
Yeah, but nowadays when you go to our headquarters, you will see all the possible nationalities. So the change is tremendous.
You started the trend. You were at the beginning.
Yes, I was one of the pioneers of changing the trend.
You're the pilot.
But there was a lot of attention from the owner of the company to make it very diversified, and I think that is one of the factors for succeeding the company on the market, on the other markets, that we are not considered as a Arab or South Asian company, but rather as an international, real proper corporation or large company.
When you look at the leadership style, it seems like it's more centralized, command and control, versus a lot of conglomerates really are, they've got all these separate companies doing their own thing. Sounds like which puts a lot of heat on your job, have a lot of it coming into...
Yes, so if I compare, for example, that to the American company, there were multiple levels before that gets escalated to the top.
Yeah, usually.
Now, because we are very lean from the manpower perspective, people, this escalation sometimes are hitting to the top level, and we need to act accordingly. But that is giving at least this kind of feel what is happening on the ground. We know what is there. For example, I know that we are introducing the new warehouse. I will visit this warehouse. I will know how that is going to operate instead of just being a CIO sitting on the 42nd floor in my building and enjoying an air conditioning.
42nd, nice view.
42nd, yes.
You can probably see other countries from there. So you're probably getting a lot of real-time data analytics from retailers all over the world where your products are being sold.
So I will tell you, this is what the whole region still needs to develop. I will give you the example. It's not very popular, EDI, exchange of the information between the partners.
Boy, no one uses that word anymore, EDI, but that's still what it is. Electronic data.
But I remember even before I joined, we had much higher level of adoption of the EDI in Europe or across European countries than we have today in UAE.
Really?
There is some kind of
that sounds backwards.
Yes, but this is how it is. There is the EDI is not that much popular. There are few big supermarkets where, let's say, the pioneer of that. Yeah. But even they are not utilizing that.
Started with the barcode, really. It goes way back. And do you guys? Does the company have DTC, direct to consumer, where you're selling? Online to consumers, or most of it channel?
No, the majority of our business is B2B, honestly speaking. We just have a few parallels. I'm talking about, the ice creams, some food.
You're like the number one ice cream company over there. I know that.
That is something which really started our impulse business a long time back. We are pretty successful.
Unilever too, though they're selling their ice cream business. It might already be sold. Do you get like free ice cream in the office?
From time to time, yes.
We
have some festivals.
That would get me to move to Dubai. Free ice cream. Oh my gosh. I'm kidding. But so what other kind of challenges do you, some days you have a thankless job from the tech stack point of view, but what are the biggest challenges looking ahead the next couple years? Not just for you, but the industry, fast-moving
From the region
goods.
perspective, I would say the continuity, because the people are changing, is a bit of a challenge to manage that properly. But, if we are talking from the technology standpoint, there is also the government who is supportive very much to the businesses from, bringing the new technologies.
Very supportive.
The UAE invests a lot of money. If we look at the level where all the ministries are there and, all the public services, they are very advanced. They are probably more advanced than any other countries I can think of.
Very much take care of their own. It's good to see. I mean, they're investing a lot over here too in America.
From IFFCO perspective, I would say the consolidation is something which is a bit of bottleneck. If we look at the industry, there are many companies which are going through this hassle because of the very late entry of the big players to the market. Sometimes, the fact that some of the groups are having such a different kind of businesses is also a bit of challenge to keep even IT systems up and running, because they can have different requirements. If you have, for example, food manufacturing, retail, and the real estate at the same time, we are talking about a completely different world.
Cars or...
Cars, exactly.
Yeah. Like Mahindra is a good example. They make tractors, and they're all over the spectrum.
Yeah, so that is this kind of a challenge, and this is where most of the companies are looking for support from external consultants, for example, what they're supposed to do in such cases. This is where I can see a bit of improvement should come to the region.
And what about tech-enabled services and using technology to actually create new products and services and growth? And I mean, not so much in consumer fast-moving goods, consumable. You do a lot of consumables, but do you look to tech more strategically now to kind of expand?
So there are two things. The one is related to the operational excellence. There is still a lot of improvements which we can do on the ground. For example, the standardization of the IoT devices across all the manufacturing sites would give us a significant improvement.
Good luck with that one. Yeah,
but if you have number of entities and each and everyone is doing that differently, then we are losing the standardization and the potentially reduction of the cost in the long run.
Yep.
Another aspect is to improve our prediction which product we should, for example, manufacture in advance for ABC markets.
Exactly. Yes.
That's probably where I can see a lot of opportunities moving forward.
And what are you most excited about in terms of IFFCO and the second half of this decade and where you see the company going?
I'll tell you, the company is very stable, and if I look at the leadership, there is a clear vision where we want to go. And that really helps also to adjust the IT strategy, if you know the business direction. Obviously, if we are talking about the private companies, sometimes you achieve the much faster decision. Sometimes it takes a bit longer until you can adapt some of the solutions. So it can depend. There are pros and cons, this kind of thing. Now, AI definitely is going to be a game changer. And, we can look at the past. Blockchain there was so much noise, but where we are with this, we stuck to the cryptocurrencies, right? The adoption in other smart contracts and everything stuck somehow.
Blockchain and metaverse and
metaverse.
AI is going to be here for a while.
Yeah, however, AI, because you can address the real specific problems of the business, I believe it's going to help. When I remember the presentation of the metaverse when you used to go for the business meeting and you have all these scenes around. Come on, doesn't look, professional. At least that was the impression, and it didn't work out. Yeah, people were excited at the beginning, but if you would need to do that on a daily basis, it would not work. I think that sometimes this kind of additional part of eyes which can come from the AI to look for specific problem from the different angle can bring this kind of competitive improvement.
Yeah, I bet. And personally, what when you talk to your peers, CTOs, CIOs, even CEOs of groups, even the CMOs now, people have to understand technology. They don't need to know how it works. Even some CIOs don't need to know how it works. They need to know how they can use it to deploy it to be more competitive and grow and all that stuff. But what kind of advice do you give the executive team and peers in the industry when you're at conferences like this?
Well, I will tell you specifically to the Middle East. I can say something which sounds like a slogan, but I think it's very important. The real business partnering from the IT standpoint is crucial. Let me bring Zoho as an example. When we brought the Zoho Expense, we have learned internally this product, and we were able to present that to our CFO, CIO, and whoever else, how that is going to work instead of vendor. Now that is bringing a completely different confidence level. When the vendor will overpromise in most of the cases.
Always, yes.
Yes. Now, when you have someone who internally is convinced, for example, that this is the solution which is a game changer, then it's much easier to get buy-in. And this is how we succeeded, because we have a very cross-functional team. And this is where I believe this IT angle of understanding the business is pretty crucial, and specifically in this region.
Well, and you're also scattered across the globe. Your culture is there, but you're in 100 markets, 85 countries.
Right, but for example, at least from the IT standpoint, we are very centralized. What we have from the IT standpoint on the sites are mainly the local support.
Yeah.
We decide about the strategy and the applications of the solution we are going to bring at the corporate level.
Yeah, I don't know if you planned that or if you did that, but that I find that to be very rare. Most people are struggling with these disparate systems all over the world, and it sounds like Zoho really helped
I would say that
fix a problem, a big one.
It's also a bit of determination and governance. But we do not allow, for example, for the local sites to do something completely independently. We rid off the shadow and IT. The one aspect only what we are thinking is to build the self-service for the analytics, where we give a bit more freedom, apart of the regular dashboards and the regular KPIs, which everyone has to follow, and there has to be common calculation logic and everything.
Yes.
Definition. For the remaining, we definitely will go for the self-service, because whenever you have for example, the smart users, or the tech savvy, they know this kind of reporting tools. They can do whatever they need.
The level 3 people.
Yeah,
yes.
They don't need to wait for us.
No.
But I will tell you, there is another bunch of people which they will never log into the any BI tool. They expect to have a report, for example, on their mailbox on a daily basis.
I know these people.
We all know them. But there is also this something between those two. And this is, for example, where we will be looking for the natural language processing. That you have people who know what they know from the business side, but they are not tech savvy to spend the time building the reporting in an analytics tool.
Exactly.
This is where we can bring at least self-service, more engagement, for example, that if someone understands that, they can also even give us the proper requirement what we should build.
Right.
Because that is also one of the issues. When we are talking about all this agile way of deployments, it's fine, because at least you have a constant interaction. But whenever we are talking about the project which are in the waterfall methodology, you need to really understand at the very beginning what the customer is asking for, because they will be able to see that at the very late stage.
I like that. So say I was running a business unit, I can go in and kind of create, not dashboards, but real business analytics. What do we used to call them? BI tools. But with a lot of the new technology that Zoho and others are coming up with, where it's low code, no code, AI assisted, could I actually talk to my computer and it would just configure it, and boom, I would have what I want next Monday? I'd get all the sales reports I needed, or whatever it is I'm trying to solve?
And this is where the governance comes to the picture, and the proper framework.
And we're looking out 12, 18 months,
I think it would be possible. I think most of the companies will be looking for that.
So
This is the model we have to look at.
Yeah, it's like
we cannot just stick to what we have.
How are things with you guys? Is cybersecurity a big issue for you? Is that something you
yeah.
lose sleep over?
We have a lot of scam. We are in the permanent learning or training mode for all the users that even if any scam goes by, and they can use that, for example, in also the private account to make sure that they are not getting hacked. It is, but that requires two aspects. The one is to protect individuals by themselves, to recognize whenever we are talking about the scam
Right.
or we are talking about any cyber security violation. And the second thing is from the systems perspective. There is a lot of attention of the hackers from the world to really address or to go for the Middle East companies. We need to be prepared for any scenario.
Great. Well, Jarek, I really appreciate you joining us today and wish you a safe trip. And it's good to see you back in the United States, but you've got a long flight ahead of you. Any parting words of wisdom for the world travelers and the techies out there?
Use Zoho expense for the claiming the travel expenses. No, I would say it's a long flight, but the only problem is really the time difference. When you're swapping night and day, that's.
I expect your expense report as soon as you land.
Yes.
No, really appreciate you joining us. You've been listening to Jarek Pietraszko. This is Dean Tobias with the Reboot Chronicles. I want to thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.